What's up, Sheepdog Nation? Welcome to another podcast episode of Changing the Culture podcast with your host, me, Autumn Clifford. As always, very excited to be here with you. Today, I have to be honest with you. So, what I have for you today is just really, it's going to be some stuff that I have on my brain, some things that I want to talk about. And I don't really know as I'm doing this right this moment. I'm not positive what the title of this podcast is yet. So, I can't exactly tell you that. But if you've got some time, if you're interested in listening to a fellow first responder, um, share her thoughts about some recent events and about what is going on within the culture, then stay tuned. I want to advise you that if you enjoy this podcast, I want you to know that what we've opened up, my team and I have opened up, we have 10 seats for backstage passes. So if you are interested in having your own backstage experience within the podcast, then what I want you to do is I want you to go to the show notes, click the link there, and read all about it and get your ass in. It is an exclusive opportunity. Nobody else is doing this. I pride my podcast on having absolutely no ads, which is amazing. We're one of the only ad-free podcasts that I've listened to. And on top of that, if you get backstage passes, you get to come. You'd be able to listen to me record this live right now, which is always interesting because you can see how the magic happens and what I actually look like. And all of that while I'm creating. You get to have a lot of impact over the topics. You get to ask the speakers. We're going to be having a lot of guests coming on. We have an amazing guest coming up on Monday. I think it's June 3rd. Dr. Kevin Gilmartin. He is the author of the book Emotional Survival of Law Enforcement. He's coming on, and he has that book is literally the Bible for law enforcement, and it's a big deal. And so everybody who has backstage passes and the members within my mastermind people, they actually get to have a conversation with him. And they get to ask him questions, unlimited questions. But my backstage passers, you can submit questions to me to ask for him. Or if you're like, yo, I want full access to everybody you talk to and love your podcast and I want some content too, then message me, or you can check out more information on getting into the mastermind. We have 2 seats left, which is really exciting. Again, exclusive, never done before, and it's going really well. So I just wanted to advise you of some really amazing things that we have going on here at Changing the Culture podcast. So, all right. So today I gotta tell you, I was having a reflection about how how I started this podcast and the things that make me me and the transformation that I've gone on within the last 2 years of having this podcast and everything that I've gone through. Now, if you are brand new to me, I want to welcome you. I want to advise you to brace yourself. If you've got little ones, turn the volume down or put headphones in. But also go back and listen. Spend some time. This podcast, the thing about my podcast is it's really like a self-help podcast. My podcast is for first responders. That's exactly what it is. It is not you're not going to listen to me talk a lot about tactics. I am not an expert in tactics. You're not going to hear me talk, and have a ton of conversation. This is really, I want my listeners, every single episode, I want you walking away with a change in perspective. I want you walking away with mind expansive content. That is my goal for this podcast. And I have not been exactly clear about that up until this fucking moment. And that's how it works, isn't it? That's how things work. That's how life works. And so, I also wanted to have a conversation with you, kind of moving forward, and then I'm gonna get into, everything I want to get into. But this is the shit that's on my mind, and so we're gonna talk about it. What's on my mind is how many people don't understand the power of self-help and the power of personal development. And I'm not quite sure why that's not drilled in the academy, but I promise you before the time I'm done, it will be. That's part of changing the culture. And I want to talk a little bit about the basis of, moving, what I'm doing and stuff. And I guess, so the truth is I've been reaching out to a lot of high level, very honorable people to have on, guests, experts, to come on to this podcast to make my mastermind even better, to make my podcast even better, to make my backstage pass even better. So I've really been growing and expanding, and while I've been doing that, I've had to explain a lot about the podcast over and over and over again, right? And it's really led me to thinking about, how we shift and how we changed and my transformation. And like I said a few minutes ago, if you're interested in like, oh, you like, how did you transform and how are you different? Just go listen to like the first 5 episodes of my podcast, and then go listen to some when it was called the Intuitive Sheepdog, and then come and listen to now. I mean, it is different, but it's the same. I mean, I'm the same person. I'm very much consistent with who I am. That doesn't mean my views and opinions haven't changed. I'm fucking human. I read somebody put. I have somebody who, she's a huge fan of me, but she doesn't come across that way. And she actually gave me like like a 1-star review, and she said that I was very inconsistent. Well, excuse me, because I'm fucking human. And I've been doing this for 2 years. And when you attempt to do something for 2 years, if you're like me and you're doing a lot of personal development, you change, right? You change, you transform, you change your fucking mind. Well, I'm also a woman, and if I want to change my mind, I can, and we all can. Um, and so that's what you're gonna find, right? So let's talk about. So what does this have to do with anything? Well, because changing, transforming, shifting, things have been on my mind. The whole thing in Minneapolis, the tragedy, the absolute chaotic tragedy that has happened in Minneapolis, really has my mind going. If you have not seen what my public statement is, I issued a public statement on my Instagram, as well as my as well as my Facebook, and it's in my Facebook group, and it's also on my personal Facebook, just because I wanted everybody to be able to go read that. So if you feel like you haven't yet and that is of interest to you, please go do so. I think that this is going to spark a lot of change, um, which is probably the only good that I can see that's going to come of this, right? I have been very emotional about it, just as any other good cops have been, even the wives, even other first responders. If you're on the up and up and you're here and you're doing your job for the right reasons, then that fucking bothered you. Then that did. And it tore me to pieces. I didn't sleep. The night that I found out that it happened, I did not sleep. I didn't sleep a wink, actually. Maybe like 2 hours. And that was broken sleep. And so the question's like, well, why? I live in Maine. That happened in Minneapolis. Like, why, right? And the answer is because when you're a cop or when you're a first responder, you don't even have to be a cop, because I was just on a firefighter podcast last night and we kind of discussed this, and he felt it too. When you are a part of this brother and the sisterhood, whether you are a part of the thick or thin red line, the thin blue line, green line, yellow line, it doesn't matter, right? Like we're in it together. You wear a badge, you're a first responder, you feel this. And this cuts deep. This really cuts deep. And it makes you sick to your stomach, and it makes you ask yourself so many questions. And I think all of us, the number one question that we all have is why? Why? What the fuck, right? What the fuck and why, and what were you thinking, and what? My husband, he's a police officer as well, and him and I have had a lot of conversations about this. And initially, it was kind of like, okay, we're gonna like, before you and I, like, before we even discuss this, let's like see, like, are we, because this is right when it happened. We're like, okay, like, we have no idea what happened. We just saw this picture, like, so we didn't know. But then obviously, as the day went on, we were like, oh shit, there really isn't any other angles to this. There's no side. Like, this is bad, this is awful. And we both we had a lot of conversation about this, and I've talked to a lot of police officers, a lot of first responders from around the globe. I have a lot of clients who this is bothering. I have, a lot of people who've been coming to me and they're very upset. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. You're not alone. I feel the same way. I've been very sick to my stomach. I have not been able to get Mr. Floyd's face out of my mind. It is fucking forever imprinted. And I feel so upset with the four officers that were there. I am obviously most upset with the officer who was kneeling on this subject's neck. Now, one thing I want to tell you this, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you right now, I 100% that think they are all wrong. This was bullshit. This never should have happened. This is bad policing, all of that. Okay. What makes this so, like, I have a lot to say about this. What makes this so difficult for me, and for me specifically, is like, you have to understand who I am and what I'm doing. I am not somebody who is just out here shooting the shit. This podcast is not, it started out as me venting. This podcast has changed and saved lives. Do you understand that? It has fucking saved lives. This podcast has gotten more first responders through overnights than I can even tell you. I know that because they message me. My inbox gets flooded. I have saved marriages. I have helped people get out of very bad marriages. This podcast, okay? Like, I'm not out here just shooting the shit. My company and what I'm doing, I am very focused on saving lives and changing the culture for all first responders. And so for me, I stand up for us. That you will not find somebody who will. I literally back us first responders more and more and more and constantly and all the time, and I'll find every fucking angle, usually, right? When it's right. Understand, when it's right, and it's, it's full of integrity and it's the right thing, I will find every reason to back somebody with a badge, because I believe that we are family. And it's not back them against anybody, right? I'm just saying, even if they fucking violated social media policy, right? Like something stupid. It's not really like, I'm not saying I back them versus like people and being criminals against the public. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm always trying to find out and trying to get into that first responder's head, because I feel like that is my that's what I need to do. That is why I'm here. I am here to be a voice for, first responders. I'm here to say the things and do the things that a lot of first responders can't, because because of their employment. Luckily, I am now employed just part-time, and my chief could give zero fucks and completely supports everything that I do, and is very well aware and follows everything that I do, and is in full support because he knows what it's backed by. And so for me, this has been excruciating. For me, I'm like, I can't back this, and that's excruciating to me. It's excruciating to watch members of my family, right, of the Thin Blue Line, kill this man over forgery, right? Like, this was just insane to me. Yes, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. I've cried and I have been angry, and I have sat and asked myself why, what the fuck, over and over and over again. And all I could do yesterday was, I made 3 videos yesterday and deleted all of them because I couldn't get the words right. I just couldn't say what I needed to say in an articulate manner. I just couldn't do it yesterday. And so I wrote. Instead of writing, I just wrote. And you can go and you can read that and you can see that. But I just want to say that I'm not the only one feeling this way. Actually, I bet if you're listening to me, you feel this way. And I feel like there are thousands and thousands and thousands of good officers that feel awful. Feel absolutely like shit. Um feel so angry, so frustrated. We have it's a literal war zone in Minneapolis right now, and I'm sure that there are other other areas that are in the same exact situation. They're in war zones as well. So it's hard. It's fucking hard. This is hard. This is difficult. And I want you to know that you're not alone in how you feel, whether you are the officer listening, the spouse, you are a firefighter, a correctional officer, a dispatcher, a probation officer, whether you are a member of society who just backs us, whether you are a first responder in another capacity. I have a lot of counselors, behavioral therapists, um, entrepreneurs who are spouses. Like, I have a lot of people that listen to this who are connected and tied to what we do in one way or another. And if that is you and you're feeling so sick to your stomach, so upset, so emotional, yet you want to do something because you want to make a change, but you don't know how to do it, I just want to tell you that you're not alone. I just want to tell you that you're not alone. And I need you to know that. And this is what I want to say. In fact, I might even make a video about this later. Here's what I want to say, and this is why it is so fucking important that we do actually change the culture. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is this. I am here doing what I'm doing. First, it was because I wanted to save lives, and I still do. Don't take that. Do not take that out of context. I know what it's like to be so fucking depressed, you lose your fucking self identity. I know what it's like to not get out of bed. I know what it's like to have your job, your career, your everything ripped right out of you and be from your hands after you go to a doctor's appointment, and then you have, the workers' comp doctor making you cry because making you feel like you're a piece of shit and that you're fucking the agency over and you're just out to fuck everybody over, and all this shit like that. That I've had that happen. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be the lowest of the low. I know what it's like not to be able to leave your house because of crippling anxiety, yet all you want to do is get the fuck out of your house because it feels like the walls are closing in. I know what that is. And that is why I'm here. I had to pull myself out of it, right? I had to pull myself out of that. And medication wasn't going to work for me. Now, I'm not saying I don't suggest that. I highly suggest that if you are in a low of a low and a low and a low and you cannot pull yourself out of it, then I want you to go get on medication. Medication was recommended to me multiple times by multiple people, including my doctor. I'm stubborn as fuck. And I had a different plan for myself. Okay. I wasn't like, no, I'm not going to take the meds and then didn't have a plan. I had a plan. And that plan for me was I was going to do anything and everything I could to work on my mindset. That is why I am so stuck on mindset. Okay. I know what it's like to get there and have to change your mind and change your perspective so that your life can change. It's a cliche saying, but it's not. It was my life. I know what that's like. But I also know that we've got some shit. Okay. We've got some corruptness going on. We have politics all through a lot of agencies. We have a lot of lack of leadership. Lack of leadership is really, really causing for very toxic cultures throughout the country, throughout the world, and various agencies that goes for jails and correctional facilities on fire departments, and it goes across the board. This is not just for police departments. Okay. This is all first responder agencies. I know that. And that is what I want to say is if we can learn how to change the cultures, if we can learn how to change our culture, then we are not going to have officers that are unprofessional, right? Because it's not going to be fucking tolerated. We are not going to have bullshit leaders who don't know what's going on, who are not fully trained up, who are not tactical, who are uneducated, who do not know how to, work with the public, who are racist, who are biased. We are not going to have any of them full of, leaders that have lied and they're not backed with integrity. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have that. If we change the culture and we back our men and women who are out there and we give them the proper support. Okay. And I know you guys don't love this word, but love, we give them the love, the support, the, resources, the mindset training, the proper training on all across the board. We create an environment that people can be nurtured and grow, and toxicity is not allowed. Politics are not okay. It's not allowed. You move up based on merit, not on anything else, not how quickly you can get under somebody's desk. You know what I'm saying? I know that's so unprofessional of me to say, but it's the truth, and that's what you're thinking. That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, that is not going to be tolerated. The only thing moving forward that can be tolerated is professionals. Professional law enforcement officers are the only ones that are going to survive. And I'm going to say, I think that this right here is the tip of the iceberg. And I think it's going to cross in all agencies and all first responder categories, not just law enforcement. But I can tell you that if you are not a professional and you are not proficient at what you are doing, you have a lot of questions and you are unconfident and you are incapable, you will not survive moving forward. This is no longer a good old boys club. This is no longer my supervisor told me to do it. Where was the supervisor? No. This is a fucking profession now. You are in a career that most of us had to be educated to get in here. And I'm telling you, we all need to start acting like it. We need to train, but most importantly, we need to be supported. We need to be supported, and we need to be supportive of our coworkers, of our brothers and sisters, and we need to help them. I think that once we change the culture, you're not going to see situations like you saw in Minneapolis. We're not going to have those. They're not going to be tolerated. They won't be tolerated anymore. That is my goal. That is my dream. And that is why I'm here. And that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's why I'm a voice. And that's why I'm saying the things that I'm saying. You don't have to agree with me. Not asking you to. But what I am saying is if you're feeling like me, I want you to know that you're not alone. I'm just like you and you're just like me. And you are allowed to feel this way. I want you to know it. I want you to know you're allowed to feel angry. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to feel frustrated. You're allowed to feel all of the above. It's normal. There's nobody that gets more upset and pissed off from bad policing than good cops. And I want you to remember that. I want you all to know that I'm here for you. My social media platforms, wide open. I have a lot of content. This podcast, like I told you in the beginning, it's full of self-help. It's full of really good episodes, great content. My Instagram's filled with videos. I've got videos on YouTube. I've got a Facebook group. I mean, I have a lot of support for you. So if you're feeling right now a little out of control, I just want to tell you that I'm here for you. And if you need more support than that, you're interested in the backstage pass, go to the show notes. If you're interested, like I said, I've got 2 slots left for my mastermind. If that's something you're interested, talking to Dr. Kevin Gilmartin on Monday, I want you to click on the show notes. You'll be able to see there'll be a link for the mastermind, or you can get at me on Instagram at Officer Autumn or Facebook, Autumn Clifford. I'm here for you. I'll always be here for you. I want to thank you for making it this far. I'm going to be sharing my Brother in Blues song, one of my favorites. It's called Baptized in Blue, so you can enjoy that.
They buried me in the water and I came, I knew. Now I'm baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. They buried me in the water in the Holy Ghost. I came out with a badge and gun and a heart that said never run. I signed up for a job you wouldn't dare to do. This ain't no green screen movie, don't compare the two. We look at your actions in the elements and everything relevant. If they line up, prepare to pay the consequence. You do dirt, you get cuffed, no bluff. It's ignorant to think we will shoot with your hands up if you the police. You feel the world is against you, like every call you go to, people trying to tempt you. Well, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. I ride on the devil, I ain't scary, and I ain't worried. You want my life, come take it, it's gonna be a fight. I take it to the light, like Will and Bright. I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do, only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got grit. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I can't explain the pain when I see a name on the wall. All I feel is rage, put me in a cage, let me brawl. Sometimes I can't help but cry, like why did he die? I know it was him, but it could have been I. What about the kids? What about the spouse? Yeah, now who gon' put food inside them babies' mouth? It's a bigger picture when the officer down. Domino effect, Blue Nation, family, country, and town. The media don't cover us. Well, maybe Fox, cause MSNBC and CNN surely don't care about cops. Politicians more concerned about protecting the legal instead of laying the law down and protecting the people. Let me get off my soapbox before I curse. I don't seen way too many cops riding in hearse. Well, I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do. Only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue.
I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.
If I'm faced with a mission, I'm gonna complete it. If that means being deleted, I live with the credence. I do this for the combat vets and Leos. When I'm suited, ready to go, it's either friend or foe. Only Lord knows what my future's in store. I only kill with the hope to see more, so God don't close that door. If I take a life, it's him or me, with the hopes to survive, not bigotry. I go in situations that you cannot imagine, deal with things that you cannot fathom. Know it, but I'd rather fight for a cause than live for nothing. So when you read my headstone, you know I died for something. You hypersensitive shit complain by justified force. You blame the cops first, that don't work, you blame the courts. But I wouldn't expect you to understand what I do. Only the thin blue line, cause they baptized in blue.
I'm a fighter, I'm a winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a fighter, never winner, never quit. I refuse to lose. I got heart and I got gritty. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue. I'm a warrior that's been baptized in blue.